Hey everybody, welcome to my bi-monthly Patreon Q&A. I decided to record it like a little Joel video because I thought that people would find that more exciting and fun. I kind of feel more comfortable talking to a camera that I'm holding up and like shaking around like this in more candid context, but let me know if you prefer it to be more professional. I think this is what the format should be though, to be honest with you. Anyway, first question. Tacos says, what is your favorite niche YouTuber drama lately? Okay, so I have to give it to the whole I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's this whole big drama occurring over the fitness YouTubers, Mike Israetel. The whole thing kind of comes down to one video that was made about Mike Israetel that alleged that he didn't have a very good PhD thesis, which isn't something that I can imagine anybody like caring about really. And so I just enjoy like everybody on the internet, everybody on the fitness internet being like, yo, Mike Israetel is done because of his shitty PhD thesis, and it's like all these guys pretending to ever in their lives cared about anybody's PhD thesis, as though we all have like a mental image of what a exercise science PhD thesis is supposed to look like, and he betrayed that. It's just really entertaining. I also love it for two other reasons. One is that Mike Israetel is kind of an inspiration to me. Like, he got me into lifting and going to the gym, and I feel very thankful to both he and Jeff Nippard for like getting me off my ass and making exercise science and stuff like accessible to me. So I'm thankful to them. And then on the other side, I like that Mike Israetel is himself like kind of like a libertarian bell curve believing type guy in a number of obvious ways. Like, he clearly, like, I don't want to be too like, he clearly believes in race science, and there was this one video about the fact that he clearly does believe in race science.
I 100% acknowledge, because I'm literate, that race is truly a biological construct. It is deep. It pervades almost everything. And it has real world differences in ability that are complicated. They are overlapping in spectra, but they are nonetheless for sure real. And they affect every single thing about your life on the margins. If you ask me any more questions about that, I won't say anything because I'm not getting canceled over that shit. So what I'm saying is, yes, race is real. Yes, race differences exist. Yes, even in every single quality that you think is too politically incorrect to talk about.
And all the comments on that video were like, shut the fuck up, race is real. And so it's like, you know, we really care about Mike Israetel's PhD thesis having a certain quality to it, but not the bell curve. I also like that I feel like the last 2 minutes of what I've been talking about was completely incoherent to anybody not super aware with the drama. Anyway, next question. Maximilian the Queer says, what's your favorite season to take a nice little holiday? The autumn. The autumn, of course. Beautiful autumnal leaves falling. Thank you. Alex Mikavoy asks, have you seen Pompoko? Yes, I have. That's an awesome movie. I mean, that's either the first or second best Isao Takahata film. I would say it's behind Princess Kaguya, but I accept that that's a matter of personal taste. Parent Lee asks, does pretentious art exist, or is it just the way it's consumed that makes it so? Well, I would say that pretentiousness in art is kind of like funniness in art in this regard, right? Like, does funny art exist, or is it the fact that we laugh at it that makes us know it's funny? Well, yeah, that's kind of what's happening, right? The reason why we know art is funny, or the reason why we think it's funny, is because when we watch it, we laugh. And the reason why we think art is pretentious is because when we watch it or look at it, we think that's pretentious, right? So, you know, I recently saw the David Foster Wallace biopic, The End of the Tour. That's a movie that feels like it really wants to be profound and thought-provoking, and for me falls very flat. You know, it doesn't feel very profound about anything, and it kind of paints this very vapid image of David Foster Wallace that I find more agonizing and hard to watch than interesting. And I think that's kind of a pretentious film. But that's because of the way I'm watching it, right? It's not pretentious in a vacuum, but nothing is anything in a vacuum, kind of. Do you know what I mean? Trevor Koenig asks, not sure if you do karaoke, but what would be your favorite go-to songs? I don't go to karaoke very often. But one time when I was doing karaoke, I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables on that shit and just went fucking crazy. And like, I can't sing. I'm not a good singer at all, right? And so, I mean, you're just seeing a man absolutely freak out, losing his mind to Dream to Dream, Les Miserables, a notoriously quite difficult song. And I feel like I'm going to do that in the future. I'm going to try to shoot my shot for the big leagues and hope that there's some, Broadway guys in the audience who were like, could this be our new Eponine? Or is it Fontaine? Mata asks, hey, Big J, I was just wondering where you buy all those comfy-looking sweaters you've been wearing. A lot of them at this point are gifts from friends and family. But besides that, I get them on. It's just trying to show off the fit. Just besides that, I buy them at thrift stores and the internet. It's not that deep. I don't have like a brand, right? I just it's more about your aesthetic eye. You know what I mean? Than about finding a store that fits your vibe. You have to cultivate the kind of style that I have. You need to sort of be up on fashion. You need to be reading fashion magazines and stuff. You can't just walk into a store and hope to look the way I look. And it's almost offensive to ask me where I buy my sweaters. Like, that's the most important part of my aesthetic. You know what I mean? Mason Wiss asks, you make a lot of videos critiquing conservatives, but do you ever consider writing about your own political project? Well, unfortunately, Mason, I don't really have like a political project, right? Like, I don't have some like particular like outcome that I'm trying to see, or I don't feel like I'm an authority on saying what should happen politically. I kind of have a number of, I think like most people, kind of a number of principles that I hold very strongly to, that I feel very strongly. I'm pro-secularism, I'm pro-pluralism, different kinds of lifestyles, different kinds of people doing what they all like. I'm pro-democracy. I think that equality is a social goal worth pursuing. I think borders need to be justified a lot more, that we should be considering having less borders in the world, I'm pro-human dignity and respecting the idea that people need to eat and have places to live. And I'm pro-public projects, right? This is all very average. I try, and I do, have very normal beliefs about the way things should be, and I try to make those beliefs readable from my videos, but that doesn't make me somebody who should write a manifesto. Can you whistle a tune? Asks Maddie Faye. And I could keep going on like that. I mean, I could keep going. Dimitri asks, are you still practicing French or any other language? Can you read any other non-Latin alphabets? Yes, I still practice French. Je parle un peu le français for the French speakers in my audience. No, I can't read any non-Latin alphabets. I'm really committed to this French thing. I take lessons 2 or 3 times a week, and I listen to French podcasts, and I try to grind it out as much as I can. I'd like to be able to speak conversational French by the time I'm dead, which is seeming less and less likely all the time. The more French that I learn, the more I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. Out of MrBeast's entire filmography, what single video of his is your favorite? Not just the ones you find most entertaining, but the video that is most emblematic of what compels you about the Beast. Let's find out. I remember watching a MrBeast video and going, oh my God, this is pure pleasure at one point in my life. But I legitimately cannot remember which one. I seem to recall enjoying his train versus hole video, train versus giant pit. I mean, that's a banger video. I really enjoyed that. I like ones that are sort of more unapologetically gamey. I like ones that sort of don't emphasize their own importance in any way. I've been less invested in the recent ones where he just like throws 2 people in a situation for 100 days, or where he tries to get a fat guy to lose weight or whatever. Like, I don't think that's very entertaining for me. I prefer like a high octane, like, here's a car, here's a hole. Is the car going to go into the hole? Helium is not good. That's a sort of Tendentious username. Okay, it's not good. Anything unique you do during Christmas? They ask. No, I mean, as a Jewish man, I tend to go to a Chinese restaurant with my family. That's about what I do on average for Christmas. But you know what, though? My girlfriend's family is Scottish. You know, she's kind of Scottish in her own way. And so I often find myself going up to Scotland to see the Scots on Christmas these days for like 1 or 2 years now. So I guess that's unique. Raina asks, if you had to pick, who would be your quote-unquote favorite conservative commentator? What do you find enjoyable about them as compared to the others? I'm not going to break the bank here. I think I'd have to give it to Benny Shapiro. And the reason for that is because I think Ben Shapiro, unlike most of these conservative commentators, actually has like political thoughts in his head and principles that he believes in. And I like to see the way that those principles, the fact that he really does seem to care about conservatism quite a lot, oftentimes conflict against the fact that he, very obviously detests MAGA, detests Donald Trump, and yet he still has to be a cheerleader to the party, campaign for Donald Trump. And so I find that tension, the fact that he's like, you can so viscerally feel that he's like slotting his conservative ideology into the zeitgeist mold, trying to refashion himself into this pro-Trump figure, even though it doesn't fit his brand at all. Inherently very compelling and also tragic in its own way. Markers asks, is there a work of art or media that you get a lot of enjoyment from in a genre you otherwise don't gravitate toward? So this might be very shocking to hear, but I'm a bit of a horror movie hater. Like, there's a lot of trappings of the genre of horror that I find inherently unappealing. I don't like long drawn out scenes where somebody's like walking outside at night and they're afraid of something. I don't like it when the Gronger comes out and he's all scary. He's like, "Rawr!" And everyone's like, oh my God, it's the Gronger. You know what I mean? I'm not into that. By that same token, though, if you asked me to list the number of horror movies that I loved, it would be innumerable. I mean, there's just too many to name. The Omen, Candyman, Wicker Man, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Rosemary's Baby, whatever. Like, I love many, 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 many horror movies. It's not difficult for me to love a horror movie. But as a medium, as a genre, if somebody's like, I want to put on some random horror movie I found on Netflix, I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, God. Look, all I'm trying to say is that for every Babadook, for every Get Out or Us or whatever, for every The Witch, there's a movie that's shot at midnight where a bunch of people are like, oh my God, I'm so fucking afraid right now. And I'm never invested at all. I feel like so many horror movies are just like playing out the same mechanic over and over again. Really, maybe I'm just saying I don't like bad horror movies. I think that's a fair way of putting what I'm trying to say. But I like bad examples of a lot of other mediums. Like, I like bad comedies. I like bad sci-fi or bad dystopian thrillers or whatever. Like, I can get down with a bad movie, but bad horror movies are boring to me in a unique way. Does this make sense? You've been posting more Little Joel videos recently. Are we in a Joel renaissance? I hope so. I think my goal right now is to release 3 Little Joel videos every week. No more than 3. It can be less than 3, but it can't be more than 3. And the reason for that is I think I get tired of it if I post every day. I think actually that secretly, even though you're not really aware of it, that many people in my audience also get quite fatigued when I release every single day. You start to think to yourself, like, I'll miss this one, man. Like, I'm not going to do this every day. It's not for that. It should at least be a little bit of a treat, right? It should be a fun thing to do. And I think when I've like gone full hog into it and gotten crazy obsessed with it, that it's lost some of what's made it special for me. So I just want to approach it carefully and just have fun with it and just release like two or 3 a week. And, that'll keep people watching and it'll keep people excited and it'll keep me excited too. So if that's a renaissance, then that's a renaissance. You mentioned a while ago that you were making a video on Megalopolis. Is this still in the works or have you moved on from it? So for my video for Megalopolis, I read all the important novels by Ayn Rand because I think that there's a lot of important connections between that film and those books. And so now that I've read whatever 2,500 pages of Ayn Rand, I just find it quite overwhelming, frankly, to write a video about her body of work. I do want to make a video about Ayn Rand and Megalopolis, but it's not coming fast. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. It's hard and it's intimidating, and I have too many things to say and kind of not enough to say, so we'll see. You know, I want to make it, but we'll see. Okay. It seems like that's most of the questions. So, okay, it seems like that's most of the questions. So I'll see you next time. If you're interested in asking me a question, obviously you can go to my Patreon, and we do this every 2 months, you know. Probably one of the greatest perks of any Patreon in human history. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye.